Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Thunder Today YouTube channel. I am your host, Dylan Hibbard, and in today's video, we're going to give you guys a bit of an update. We have some free agency news that have gone down over the past couple days that we'll kind of revisit. We'll go over SGA's nomination for Best Athlete at the ESPYs of the year. We'll go over the possibility of an Usman Jane trade brewing up depending on how the Summer League goes. And then we'll kind of talk about the possibility of Giannis leaving Milwaukee with the moves they made, and if he were to, what the Thunder could offer if they wanted to get Giannis, just as kind of like a fun thing to kind of get the juices flowing and seeing what the Thunder could build if they really wanted to. But first off, we'll kind of talk about the big moves of free agency. Free agency has gone on now. I believe this is the third or fourth day of free agency. The biggest news from yesterday's free agency was DeAndre Ayton signing with the Lakers. We knew the Lakers were looking for a center. We knew that he was kind of linked up with them from the start, especially after Capella went to Houston and all of that. So it wasn't really a shock that it happened. It was just a matter of when it happened. For me, this just doesn't still move the needle for me if you're a Lakers fan. I still think that OKC, Houston, Denver, and Minnesota are still better than LA. I think those are your top four, and it's going to be kind of hard to compete with those top four. I think those top four, top to bottom, have the best rosters 1 through 8, 1 through 9, whatever it might be, throughout the entire West. I mean, you look at OKC and us, obviously, you have, everybody you could play guys 1 through 13. And now that the moves that Houston has made to get Kevin Durant, Dorian Finney-Smith, getting Clint Capella, getting all those guys to help the Rockets kind of build up into that championship contender. And then you have Denver, who retooled a bunch. They traded Michael Porter Jr. for Cam Johnson. They re-signed Bruce Brown. They got a backup center in Jonas Valanciunas. They're making great moves overall, where they could honestly be the second best team in the West if it really goes to their plan. And then you have Minnesota, who's been in the Western Conference Finals back-to-back years, lost back-to-back years, but when you have Ant and you have Julius Randle coming back, you have a chance to still compete and try to get pieces around you. You lost Alexander Walker, so how are you going to find that to replace and to continue to get better? Because that's what the West is. You'll have the Lakers, the Spurs, all those teams like that are right behind you as a 4 seed, and all that really matters is getting to that 6 seed so you avoid that play in. But overall, I think the move is good for the Lakers. I'm glad that they got a center. I'm sure they're glad, but at the end of the day, just a defensive lineup of Luka, Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, LeBron, and Ayton, there's just not a lot of defense. We're not talking about 30-year-old LeBron or even 35-year-old. He's 40 now. He's going to be 40, 41. He's not going to be going on defense as hard as some people think. And obviously, Luka and Reeves and their defensive struggles. So really, your only defenders are Rui Hachimura and Ayton. Ayton's not even that good of a rim protector. So I'm not sure if the Lakers are done. We'll see. I mean, if I were the Lakers, I would be trying to find at least some defensive guys. So if you want to, you can run them out there with Luka at the 2. That way there's not 2 guards that are not very good at defense out there at all time, because now we're in a guard-driven league where if you let Shea, Curry, Cade Cunningham, Tyrese Halliburton, people like that, if you let that happen, they will torch you and the Lakers won't have enough offense to do anything. We'll kind of transition to this next topic of Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is up for the best male athlete of the year at the ESPYs. I mean, obviously he deserves it. He deserves to be a finalist. And, I mean, the more they post these stats and the more we look through it, it just shows how incredible of a season this is. I mean, we legitimately have not seen a season like what Shea just put up since Michael Jordan. And, I mean, it's crazy to say, but, I mean, it's true. I mean, you average 35-5 or 36-6, whatever it might be. You win MVP, you win the scoring title, you have the best record in the league, you march to the NBA Finals. You don't win the NBA Finals in 6 or less like Jordan, but you still get a title. You get the Finals MVP, and and then you go a couple days ago. You sign a great extension where you're getting paid, but you're also allowing the Thunder to have extra money. So when it comes that time where we want to sign J-Dub and Chet, that we have that money where you can keep this core together and just continue and grow and build together, and then hopefully win however many championships it might be. So SGA is one of the finalists for the SB of Best Male Athlete. You also have Saquon Barkley of the Philadelphia Eagles. He had a tremendous season in football, the best running back in the league, no doubt, and after coming off of a Super Bowl, makes sense that he's right up there. The next one is also in football, Josh Allen. Allen had a tremendous season, obviously a top 3-4 quarterback in the league, depending on how you look at it. I mean, he just puts up those offensive stats no matter who's with him, and he's up there as well. And then the last finalist, there's 4, is Shohei Ohtani of the Dodgers for baseball. He's going to be up there every year. Him, Aaron Judge, the top guys like that in baseball and football will always be up there, but Ohtani made it this year. Obviously, Ohtani's just a global superstar in baseball, so he's most likely going to be up there most years you're going to see him. But for me, I'm not sure which route they're going to go for this. I could very well see them going Saquon just for the NFL factor and that he won the Super Bowl and he was the best running back in the NFL. But if they excuse me. But if they want to go on kind of their recency bias and let people take over that, I could very well see Shea winning it just because of everything that's happened over the past month with the finals, playoffs, winning MVP, all that stuff. So I'm not really sure what goes into voting that, whether it's certain people that do it or whatever it might be, but just something to kind of keep your eye on, that Shea is a finalist for Best Male Athlete of the Year. And now we'll kind of get back into some trade rumors and off-season stuff, where saw a report yesterday that said if the second-round rookie Barnhizer ends up doing very well in Summer League, he's expected to play in Summer League. Like we said, Thomas Sorber's not. He's still getting over an injury that kind of ended his Georgetown season a bit early. Nothing to worry about to be ready on the NBA season. Just kind of wanted him to rest more and not risk it in Summer League action. But Barnhizer will be a participant in the Summer League. So in that aspect, Ousmane Dieng has been the player that's been linked to. If Barnhizer ends up playing really well in the Summer League and actually gets a contract and he gets a roster spot, somebody's going to have to get moved out. And the first kind of candidate that was is Ousmane Dieng, just because he's still so young. I believe he's only 20, which is crazy. 2021, still very, very young. And he still has a lot of potential. I think he could be a very good role player or kind of player for a team that really needs a young player to kind of help build their team around, whether it might be a team like Portland or a team out east like Detroit or whatever it might be, to get a young player who isn't going to be able to, probably won't crack the rotation for the Thunder next year. You go trade him. If Barnhizer does good, you trade him because he's making $6-7 million. That's even more money you can get off the books for later on for extensions. But you can definitely get a first-round pick or quite a few seconds out of Ousmane Dieng. I think the fact that he's still so young and you don't know what that potential is, teams might be willing to give up a first. It might not be the best first of all time, but at the end of the day, trading a player that you're not going to use for a first-round pick can't get much better. And, I mean, if you're Sam Presti, you're most likely going to find out a way to do it if that's what you want. If not, then he'll probably stick with Ousmane Dieng, probably sign Barnhizer on a two-way, what they did with A.J. Mitchell, and if he ends up doing something this year, you kind of extend him like what they did with A.J. Mitchell. But for the meantime, Ousmane Dieng is probably that number one guy you're going to see linked up throughout the offseason of if there's not enough roster spots, there's a high likely chance that he will be the one moved. So just something to kind of keep your guys' eyes on as we move closer into the offseason. Obviously, I will keep you guys updated on that as it progresses. And then finally, more of a fun topic is what are the chances of Giannis wanting out of Milwaukee? We know that they shockingly waived Damian Lillard to make room to sign interdivision rival Miles Turner, which is still crazy to think about. If you're an Indiana fan, you have your best player go down not only for Game 7 of the finals, but all of next year. You lose the finals, and then a week later, your third best player and your center decides to sign with the team that you have built up a rivalry with, that you now hate, and you've played in the past 3 years in the postseason, or the 2 years in the first round. So it's just kind of shocking that Miles Turner did that. Obviously, he went for the money, but I'm just not sure if this move is really doing anything to Giannis. I still think that Giannis, by the trade deadline, I think he will be out of Milwaukee, especially if Milwaukee's like not a top 4 seed in the East come trade deadline. And this is kind of where you kind of get your fun juices start to flow and like who might get Giannis. I think the two teams that are most suited to get Giannis right now are San Antonio and OKC. I think San Antonio is probably number one on that list just because the Thunder already have kind of their core, and the Spurs are still a lot young, or quote unquote, they're about the same age, but they're younger in this sense of a lot more rookies on their team, where the Thunder have now that championship experience. But I very well could see the Spurs trading. They have a locker room full of guards. It feels like they have quite a bit. I could very well see them trading couple guards, couple picks. But for the Thunder, I think one trade you could look at is Isaiah Hartenstein. I know that kind of takes away from your center depth, but you just drafted Thomas Sorber. You move Chet back to the 5. He'll be fine with Giannis and Chet at the 4 and 5. However you do it, Chet will be fine. I think a Hartenstein, I think you would have to give up a Topic. As much as we might not want to do that, I think you would have to give up at least one young player of value. And I think right now, whether it's between Topic and AJ Mitchell, I think Topic has slightly more value just on the fact of he was projected to be a top 3 pick before the injury. So if you can get the most out of him, he will have the most potential. So, I mean, I'm seeing an Isaiah Hartenstein, Kenrich Williams, and Topic with 2 or 3 first-round picks for Giannis is one of the scenarios. I think another scenario, I know you guys don't like the thought of this happening, but honestly, something of a Lou Dort, Isaiah Joe, who else? I mean, you would have to throw in to make contract where I think Kenrich would have to be in there no matter what. So it's just a matter of fact, are you willing to give up more player value, or are you willing to take away the player value and give away like a Dort, Joe, Kenrich, and Mitchell, maybe 4 players and less picks? Or would you rather give up your 2 or 3 players like a Hartenstein, Topic, and then like more picks? So it's just kind of something I think the Thunder would lean more to giving up more players, because we hear how Sam Presti talks about draft picks and how much he values them. I just don't think Presti would be willing to give up X amount of draft picks for a guy who's in his younger 30s, who's going to be on the decline in a few years' time, where you're also going to have to pay him X amount of dollars, who's going to make it so much harder to build around. So, I mean, it's not necessarily that I think the Thunder will. I think if the Thunder would have lost the finals, I definitely think they would have been at least looking around, calling Milwaukee to kind of see what they might think. But it's still something to look out for. Obviously, we'll know more about it once the trade deadline gets closer, but let me know what you guys think down below about all this stuff, whether you're up for the Thunder train for Ousmane Dieng, if you think Shea will win Best Athlete of the Year, your predictions for the rest of free agency. I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.